It's funny how sometimes in nature, the most unassuming, unobtrusive animals can be the most deadly and carry the most infamous reputations. The world over, all kinds of amphibians, mollusks and fish can cause excruciatingly painful deaths in human beings if not handled with appropriate care. Many of these animals let us know they are harmful by evolving dramatic, flashy colours that discourage predators from eating them. But this isn't always the case. In the Indo Pacific region of our world's oceans lives an unassuming, unobtrusive animal that does not have any obvious warning signs that it is deadly: the box jellyfish. We say box jellyfish, but that's something of a broad term for these animals. There are in fact at least 51 species of these delicate cnidarians, taxonomically placed in their very own class, Cubozoa. Only a few box jellyfish species, such as Chironex fleckeri, the Australian box jellyfish, are capable of killing humans. But this alone has been enough for them to garner notoriety and infamy amidst the most dangerous animals in the world in the eyes of humans. So, what do we know about these easy to miss yet massively deadly invertebrates? How did they come to be? Where do they live? How do they survive? And what exactly makes them such a risky group of animals to share the water with? Join us in today's video as we explore the answers to all of these questions, and more as we meet the Cubozoans, or box jellyfish. Slow, transparent marine invertebrates with some of the most terrifying reputations on the planet. Box jellyfish, at the most basic level, are a group of at least 51 species of cnidarian invertebrates, who occupy their own class of animals within the wider group, or phylum, of Cnidaria. Cnidaria is a huge phylum of around 11,000 distinct species, including all jellyfish, sea anemones, corals, and many tiny marine parasites. So, what defines a box jellyfish? The Cubozoans are distinctly separated from other jellyfish by their cube-shaped bodies, which is how the group got their taxonomic and common names. Trailing behind the box-shaped body from 4 points at its corners are at least one long tentacle. In some species, many more tentacles are found. Chironex fleckeri, the Australian box jellyfish, has the most tentacles of any species, with a total of 60 tentacles, 15 projecting from each corner of its body. All of a box jellyfish's vital organs are located within that cube-shaped body, or bell. The bell curves inward at its edges in what is known as the animal's valerium. The valerium allows a jet-like feature to push water back as the animal flexes the bell, pushing it forward through the water at speeds of up to 1.5 meters per second in some species. When they're not moving, these animals spend their days drifting through tropical and subtropical waters, filter feeding on microscopic organisms that float through the water column. A box jellyfish's mouth is located underneath the bell and is situated specifically at the end of a pipe-like structure called the manubrium. Box jellyfish will capture their prey using their tentacles before transporting it up into the bell to be swallowed whole. Through rapidly ejecting water from the valerium, box jellyfish can effectively speed after prey, something which other groups of jellyfish are unable to do. Also, within a box, jellyfish's bell is its stomach, which is split up into 4 chambers, known as gastric pockets. The manubrium leads to these chambers, which in turn allow prey to be digested. As prey items are consumed whole, filament-like structures are present on each gastric pocket, which subdue and break down prey as it is digested. Once the jellyfish has finished digesting its food, the fluid waste will be ejected out of the animal's system via funnel-like openings on the edges of each gastric pocket. These openings also house the jellyfish's reproductive organs, all 8 of them. Unlike other species of jellyfish, box jellyfish possess eyes, true, fully developed eyes, with lenses, corneas, and retinas. These are animals that use sight to navigate and hunt, something that we don't typically associate with jellyfish at all. The jellyfish's eyes are set against a circular, ring-shaped nerve that runs along the length of the valerium at the base of the bell. These eyes are situated in clusters and are connected to the ring nerve via sensory organs known as rhopalia. A rhopalium will contain two eyes, one that looks upwards, that is used for navigation, and a lower eye that can be used to ensure the jellyfish isn't going to damage itself by bumping into debris, rocks, or other animals. A rhopalium will also house four lesser developed eyes, which can help the animal judge light and vertical movement in its habitat. These animals have nervous systems and sensory abilities unmatched in the jellyfish world, and are capable of complex hunting methods and movement. Across the many species of box jellyfish, there is a great degree of variation in size. The smallest of these species are the Irukandji jellyfish in the genera Carukia and Malo, which on average aren't much bigger than your thumbnail. Despite their diminutive size, these are amongst the most venomous animals on the planet, whose delayed venom onset can easily cause death if untreated. The larger species of box jellyfish can, when fully grown, reach 30 centimeters or 12 inches in bell diameter, and in some species, the tentacles can reach 3 meters or 10 feet in length. Box jellyfish reproduce differently depending on the species. Some, such as the Chirodropida box jellyfish, reproduce by releasing their eggs into the water, which the male will then fertilize with sperm. Others, such as the Charybdis box jellyfish, fertilize their eggs internally. The male uses a structure known as a spermatophore to complete the reproductive process. A few hours after, Charybdida females will release a small, transparent strand of box jellyfish embryos into the water, ready to start their ephemeral 1-year lifespan. Box jellyfish embryos, once fertilized and released, will begin to develop into a form of larvae known as planulae. Planulae are able to swim freely as they are swept around by ocean currents. Inevitably, the larvae will soon come into contact with rocks, coral, or plants, and will enter what is known as the polyp stage, where a young jellyfish will attach itself to a hard surface to develop. Polyps look more like sea anemones than jellyfish, with small, stalk-like bodies that tether themselves to surfaces to resist the ocean current. Bizarrely, the polyps themselves will soon begin to reproduce further, asexually that is. This process is known as budding, where new jellyfish will begin to slowly develop from the polyp. These new babies are known as ephora larvae and look like extremely small versions of adult box jellyfish. Ephora larvae are the first forms of Medusa stage box jellyfish. The Medusa stage is what we would typically think of as a jellyfish. In this case, it is a young animal with a fully developed bell and tentacles trailing behind it, with all the functions of a typical box jellyfish. Over time, the Medusa will grow and develop further, slowly growing into adult box jellyfish that are capable of reproduction themselves. Roughly when the jellyfish's bell reaches 5 millimeters in diameter, it will be able to reproduce in the same manner its parents once did, spawning eggs or sperm, which soon develop into planulae and then polyps. Once a box jellyfish has reached adulthood, it will become a capable hunter. Unlike many jellyfish species, who typically hunt other invertebrates, box jellyfishes actively pursue and eat small fish. Their tentacles are maneuverable, and they can quickly turn to chase a fleeing victim. All they need to do is contract the bell in a given direction, and they're speeding ahead after the unfortunate fish. Once a fish has been caught, a box jellyfish will ensnare it within its tentacles, where the potent venom will ensure a quick death. Some species will turn themselves inside out to feed, bringing their food towards their mouthparts at the base of the bell before folding themselves back out. While box jellyfish are capable of protecting themselves to a certain degree using their venomous tentacles, there are some threats they cannot reliably defend against. Certain species of animals have evolved to outmaneuver these deadly cnidarians, and others have evolved immunity to the venom altogether. Medium-sized tropical fish relish in feeding on adult box jellyfish if they can steer clear of the dangerous tentacles. In the Indo Pacific region, this includes butterfish, batfish, and rabbitfish, which tend to live around coral reefs and rocky outcrops in warm, tropical waters. In the waters surrounding the archipelagos and peninsulas of Southeast Asia, box jellyfish need to be wary of the blue swimmer crab, an agile, free-swimming crustacean that can move up and down the water column to pursue prey. All of these animals are vulnerable to box jellyfish venom, and so risk their lives in taking them as prey. One group of animals, however, seem to actively seek out cubozoans, and may even be unaffected by their venom: sea turtles. Box jellyfish are something of a delicacy for green sea turtles, and the much larger leatherback sea turtles. Not only do the thick scales of these marine reptiles protect their skin from the painful venom that would usually be inflicted on their bodies by their prey, but they have evolved a special consumption method that means they can swallow them with ease too. Sea turtles will tear through box jellyfish shells with their sharp beaks before swallowing them. When the jellyfish are swallowed, they will soon come into contact with a defensive mechanism at the back of the throat, spines made of keratin, that allow the turtles to grip and swallow their deadly prey without being stung. These spines carry on down the turtle's digestive tract and into the stomach, meaning that at no point will the reptile be harmed. Some sea turtles can consume up to 73% of their body weight in jellyfish daily, feeding on all manner of species. Box jellyfish are just one component of their varied diets. We tend to associate box jellyfish with the infamously dangerous waters off the coast of Australia, but this is only one part of their very wide range as a group. In reality, box jellyfish can be found across the world in tropical and subtropical oceans, typically between 42 degrees north and 42 degrees south. They are found in the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans, with the particularly venomous species being restricted to the Indo Pacific region. The most northerly species of box jellyfish is Caribdea marsupialis, a small species only about 3 centimeters or 1 inch across, which can be found in the Mediterranean Sea. While it used to be widespread across the world's oceans, it is now considerably rare and lives only in the Mediterranean pelagic zone in the upper few meters of the water column. It is not considered deadly to humans, although it can cause some pain if swimmers come into contact with its tentacles. Interestingly, despite the fear associated with box jellyfish, the most dangerous jellyfish in the Mediterranean is the mauve stinger, a small bright purple drifter unrelated to the box jellyfish, which can cause intense pain for up to 2 weeks if touched with bare skin. The box jellyfish's Atlantic range extends throughout the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, where Chiropsalmus quadrumanus, or the four-handed box jellyfish, is the most common species. The bell of this species is about 14 centimeters in diameter, while its tentacles are exceedingly long and can reach up to 3 meters in length. They come equipped with a painful sting that can be particularly harmful to children unfortunate enough to come into contact with it while swimming. On the other side of the North American continent, off the coast of California, the most northerly Pacific species, Caribdea confusa, can be found, thriving in the rich kelp forests surrounding the coastlines and shallow waters. While it is known to possess potent venom, relatively little is known about this species. Across the other side of the Pacific Ocean, we find box jellyfish species living as far north as the waters surrounding southern Japan and the Philippines. Chironex yamaguchi, or the hub jellyfish, is typically found along the coastlines of these nations, and has been known to cause the deaths of several unfortunate swimmers since its discovery in 2009. As we travel south, we start to encounter box jellyfishes with even more potent venom within the Indo Pacific zone. Chironex fleckeri, or the Australian box jellyfish, is considered to be not only the most dangerous of all box jellyfish species, but the most venomous marine animal in the world. We'll get into the specifics of why it is considered to be so dangerous shortly, but it remains one of the most feared animals in the ocean, even to those who don't live around the northern reaches of Australia's coast where it makes its home. Box jellyfish are extremely widespread and can be found in the waters surrounding South Africa, New Zealand, Thailand, Hawaii and India, with the more venomous tropical species tending to live closer to shore. This has led to the jellyfishes coming into close contact with humans, which can prove fatal. Few books or articles covering venomous or dangerous animals omit the box jellyfish, and with good reason. Some species of box jellyfish are capable of causing unimaginable pain to human beings. As we have previously mentioned, the Australian box jellyfish, colloquially named the Z wasp, is the most venomous animal in the ocean and is capable of killing a human in minutes if the sting goes untreated. But why exactly is their venom so potent? And how do they inflict such pain on humans if we touch them? Moreover, what are the medical implications of being stung by the more venomous species of box jellyfish? Let's find out. A word of warning, however. This segment of the video will contain themes of graphic nature and may not be suitable for the squeamish. Firstly, let's address the main facts. Not all box jellyfish are lethal to humans. Many of the northern Pacific and Atlantic species do not have the potency in their venom to be capable of causing death in humans, and many of them inflict stings that are no more painful than the stings of honeybees or German wasps. The species that do cause death in humans, however, have been thoroughly researched in the hopes that anti-venom can be produced and distributed in the regions these species call home. As is the case in all dangerous animals, the best thing you can do to not get stung by a box jellyfish is to avoid the waters they call home entirely. For those who spend a lot of time in and around the seas of Australia and Southeast Asia, however, there are numerous actions you can take to prevent stings from the highly venomous species of box jellyfish if you find yourself in their domain. Most obvious is to give the sea a wide berth in the months where dangerous box jellyfishes enter coastal waters. In the southern hemisphere, the jellyfish move into the shallows between the months of November and April, so it can be wise to swim with caution around this time. If you do choose to enter the water, then it is advisable to wear a wetsuit to limit the available area on your body that a jellyfish tentacle could reach. If you're paddling or wading through rock pools or shallow water, wear waterproof shoes, and, where you can, stamp or drag your feet through sandy stretches of water to make any marine animals aware of your presence. Once you're in the water, be sure to stay within the zones overlooked by lifeguards and be wary of red or purple flags stationed in the water or on the beach, which can indicate the presence of dangerous sea creatures. You can also ask lifeguards about jellyfish sightings before you get into the water to maximize your safety. Remember to also never touch dead jellyfish with your bare hands, even if you're confident you know the species. A box jellyfish stings using its highly developed venomous tentacles. Along the length of the tentacle are many tiny cells known as cnidocytes, which are tipped in microscopic hook-shaped tubes containing, in some species, extremely potent venom. When something touches a box jellyfish's tentacle, the cnidocytes will react to the chemicals on the contacting organism's skin, which causes venom to be launched out of the cnidocyst with the hook and into the perceived threat. The mechanism works in a similar way to the poison darts used to pierce the hides of hunting quarries by the tribespeople of the Amazon rainforest. The hook, once fired, pierces the skin, and venom is able to enter the bloodstream. Venom is much more potent in larger adult jellyfish and in the certain species that have deadlier compositions of venom. Several different types of toxins, such as neuro, cardio, and dermatotoxins, work together to target different parts of the human body, combining to create one of the deadliest effects in the natural world. If you're stung by an Australian box jellyfish, the first thing you will notice will be an intense burning sensation in the region of your body that made contact with the invertebrate. Some have likened the sensation to the feeling of being bitten by a shark, or literally being held over a fire. Soon, welts will start to form on the affected area, as though the victim has been struck by a whip. In some cases, where contact with the box jellyfish was prolonged, the tentacle may become dislodged from the bell and affixed into the skin, which will require tweezers to remove. After a few minutes, the burning sensation will spread to other areas of the body if left untreated, and internal symptoms will start to develop. You will most likely start to feel intensely nauseous and sick, and may excessively vomit as the venom travels throughout your body. Your chest and limbs will start to sear with burning pain, and you may even start to experience muscle spasms, losing the function of your limbs as they flail in response to the toxins. If you are left untreated or get stung in a location where help is inaccessible, you may find yourself entering anaphylactic shock, which can be a death sentence if you are still in the water. Cardiac arrest can follow as the venom reaches the heart and creates irregular rhythms in its beating. With the Australian box jellyfish, death can occur within minutes of the tentacle making contact with your body, and if it doesn't kill you, necrosis may set in the affected region, causing long-term pain and risks of infection. If, thankfully, you are stung by an Australian box jellyfish in the vicinity of paramedics or a well-equipped lifeguard, your life may just be saved. If you get stung, the first thing you should do is calmly but quickly make your way out of the water. It is advisable, if you are swimming in known box jellyfish territories, to bring vinegar with you to treat any potential wounds. Paramedics will likely use acetic acid on the sting area. Tweezers should then be used to remove any tentacles that have been lodged into your body. Pressure can also be applied to the region using a long, thin object, such as a credit card, but applying too much pressure can encourage the spread of toxins. If the paramedics are on their way, CPR can be administered to the sting victim to keep them alive while they wait for help. You should never rinse the area with fresh water, urine, or alcohol, as they can actually release more toxins from the cyanidicides that are lodged in the victim's wound. When the paramedics arrive, they will likely administer an anti-venom. Studies are ongoing to maximize the effectiveness of such substances, which were actually developed from immunized sheep in the 1970s. Certain species of box jellyfish, the aforementioned Irukandji jellyfish living in the tropical waters of northern Australia and Southeast Asia, are equally deadly, despite their venom not being quite as potent as that of the sea wasp. Irukandjis, including species such as Carukia barnesi and Malo kingi, are known to inflict the dreaded Irukandji Syndrome with their venom. This can have notably different effects to the sting of other species of box jellyfish, and has proven to be both terrifying and fatal. Many Irukandji jellyfish are tiny, no bigger than your thumbnail, and only tend to release a very small amount of venom when skin comes into contact with their tentacles. What makes it particularly dangerous is the delayed onset of symptoms when somebody has been stung. Those stung by an Irukandji jellyfish may not even know they have been stung until around half an hour to 2 hours after the incident. Unlike the sea wasp, Irukandji venom takes much longer to kill a victim, and this has only been recorded on several occasions. Thankfully, stings are usually treated in hospital without the patient passing away, but the effects are nonetheless horrifying. Irukandji syndrome, when it sets in, will first be recognizable by a growing pain in your back, regardless of where the sting took place on your body. The venom of Irukandji jellyfish targets the muscles on the back, as well as your kidneys, and you can soon find yourself in intense pain, with cramps across your back and limbs if you don't seek treatment fast. Unlike the venom of the sea wasp, Irukandji syndrome is characterized by intense headaches, which can then cause nausea and vomiting as time progresses. In some cases, Irukandji syndrome has sustained itself in a patient's body for up to 2 weeks after the sting, throughout which time a victim will experience a very high heart rate, a drop in blood pressure, and potential heart complications if medical treatment is not administered. Victims of Irukandji syndrome caused by these tiny box jellyfish have reported excruciating pain, an inability to release cramps across their entire body, a sense of impending doom, irrational behaviour, and even hallucinations. It is not advised to use vinegar on Irukandji stings, as the spread of venom can be promoted. Rather, you must seek immediate medical attention if you think you may have been stung by an Irukandji box jellyfish, as specific treatments are required. Antihypertensive drugs will be injected into your system to limit the inflammation and cramps in your muscles caused by the venom, while opioids such as morphine and even fentanyl can be used to cease the pain. The first people to encounter box jellyfish would have been human migrants traveling across the Indo Pacific region via boat, or through island hopping through the archipelagos of Southeast Asia and Oceania. Homo erectus, an archaic species of human, is thought to have traveled throughout Indonesia and Malaysia in this way. And so, it may not have even been Homo sapiens who were the first to feel the horrific sting of the Irukandji. To ancient humans migrating across Malaysia and Australia, no medicine would have been capable of stopping the onset of box jellyfish venom, and so fatalities were likely not only commonplace, but guaranteed. Box jellyfish study in the scientific world can be traced back to 1952, when Irukandji syndrome first became common knowledge, although it was not specifically known which species of jellyfish caused the ailment. The first species of box jellyfish, none other than the sea wasp itself, was named Chironex fleckeri in 1955, when an individual in northern Queensland, Australia, sadly ended the life of a child swimming off the coastline. Ronald Vernon Southcott, a medical zoologist from Australia, was the first to identify and name the species, and would later develop his career from identifying the medical effects and venomous properties of these eerie, tentacled sea creatures. When he described the sea wasp, he placed it within the class Scyphozoa, a vast group of animals known as the true jellyfish. Years later, in 1973, the taxonomy of these Cnidarians would be reviewed, and jellyfish researcher Werner, in 1973, would place these animals in their own class, the Cubozoa, named after their cubic bell-shaped bodies. In 1961, the source of Irukandji syndrome was identified to be Carukia barnesi, one of the extremely small yet excruciatingly deadly species of Irukandji box jellyfish found in Australia and Malaysia. Jack Barnes confirmed this, and Southcott would later name and describe the species himself in 1967. In 2009, scientists were able to determine evolutionary relationships between the known species of box jellyfish to gain an insight into how their venom evolved to become so potent. They extracted DNA from tissue samples within caught jellyfish before running genetic tests on them. While more studies are needed to determine exact timelines of evolutionary splits, it was determined that box jellyfish venom contains proteins unique to the Cubozoa class, and researching the extent of these proteins in given species may help scientists to discover new antivenoms to prevent fatal stings in the future. Most recently, in 2023, an entire new genus of box jellyfish was discovered, Gershwinia, of which one species, G. thailandensis, is known. The genus is named for Lisa Ann Gershwin, a scientist who has described over 200 jellyfish species, writing several successful non-fiction books on her finds. The new genus was established on account of the animal's unique sensory structures, which resemble horns. It also has a unique digestive system which sets it apart from other box jellyfish species. The specific name, thailandensis, denotes its presence in the waters off the coast of Thailand. As it stands today, scientists are working to sequence the genomes of more species of box jellyfish so they may reliably develop potent antivenoms to counteract the stings of the more deadly species living in the Indo Pacific. This is no small feat. Elatina alatina, a widespread species of box jellyfish known for inflicting a painful rash, has over 66,000 individual genes, the most known from any species of jellyfish worldwide. Consider that humans alone have around 20,000 protein-coding genes, and these animals have proven to be much more complex than we once thought. A. Alatina is one of 2 box jellyfish species whose genomes have been fully sequenced, the other being the Japanese species Morbaca virulenta, a species nicknamed the fire jellyfish on account of the burning rashes produced by its stings. Box jellyfish are without a doubt complex animals that have eluded, and continue to elude, the scientific world for years. While we have anti-venom strong enough to counteract the terrifying stings caused by some of the Indo Pacific species, more research is needed to understand exactly how venomous these jellyfish are, and what kinds of anti-venoms need to be produced to prevent death in stinging victims. Every year, between 20 to 100 people die worldwide from box jellyfish stings. That's a low estimate, given the fact that many stings take place in countries and areas within countries without developed medical technologies and reporting systems. Popular culture has then got it wrong when it comes to dramatizing deadly sea creatures. Between 5 and 6 deaths per year are attributed to shark attacks. And yet these cartilaginous predators are seen as the most frightening creatures in the sea. In reality, they're not particularly dangerous, especially when compared to the box jellyfish. That being said, Jaws may not have made as much at the box office if a 15-centimetre sea wasp was causing havoc on the beaches of northern Queensland. This being said, box jellyfish provide an important role in the ecosystems in which they live. They provide an abundant food source for tropical reef fishes and endangered sea turtles. They also help human beings to revolutionize their knowledge of venom and anti-venom, and will hopefully continue to do so for millennia to come. As fearsome and eerie as these cnidarians are, we need them in our waters, and they will hopefully allow us to develop medical technologies long into the future, especially in developing countries and regions along the coasts of South and Southeast Asia that need access to anti-venom. As deadly as these creatures are, they are also extremely useful to multiple species, as well as being, at the end of the day, undeniably fascinating